It is Tuesday, 12 o'clock EST, and that means it is time for the bullpen. And here every single week, every single Tuesday, we go live, and I'm sharing what we're doing behind the scenes as we build out our billion-dollar sales team on the other side of this wall, and sharing everything I've learned over the years as it relates to selling product. So this is, I think, my favorite show out of all the shows we run during the week because it's relevant to basically everybody. And today we are covering objections. And objections for somebody who's new in sales and just getting started, objections can be scary. Hey, I'm just having this great conversation with somebody. I want them to buy. I make an offer, and then they come up with a reason why they don't want to buy. Oh my God, what's going to happen? What do I do? Well, objections, once you know how to handle them, it becomes almost like a game because you know exactly how it's going to go. You've probably heard the same 5 objections over and over and over again, and you know how to deal with it. So today I'm going to be walking you through not only the strategy and the scripting on how we deal with objections, but the overall mindset and how we have to approach it in the greater with a bird's eye view of our sales call and our sales process. Okay, so let's get started here with how we actually run the sales call, right? Because with the sales call, we've got our initial greeting. We pick up the phone. Hello, introduce yourselves. You give the reason for the call. We get into discovery, which is where we ask a whole bunch of questions about the prospects so we know what they're looking for, what their pain points are, what their goals are, challenges. We transition. Say, hey, like this is definitely a fit for you. Here's why. And then we have the pitch where we explain our product and how it relates specifically to what they're looking for. Then we make an offer. So we ask for the sale. Now at this point, most of the time, there's a small percentage of people who'll be like, oh yeah, this is amazing, let's go. Most of the time, there's going to be an objection. So an objection is somebody saying, hey, I don't want to buy because of this reason. Now, the way we classify, and everybody's got different ways of doing it. The way I look at it is there's 3 different things that it could be. It could be what's called a stall. It could be an actual objection, or it could be logistics. Let me give you examples of all 3. So if it's a stall isn't really an objection, right? An objection is where somebody's like, hey, it's too much money, or hey, I don't see the value, or whatever it is. A stall is somebody kind of pumping the brakes. So a stall is like, hey, I'm too busy right now, or hey, I'm too busy to make a decision. They're not really objecting to the product. They're just pumping the brakes, trying to slow down the process. So that's how we have to deal with that a little bit differently. The objection is, hey, it's too much money. Hey, it's not worth what you guys are charging. That's an objection. Now, logistics are, it's a situation where they're not objecting to anything. It's just, hey, this is the situation. So for example, maybe it's, you're selling something that's relatively expensive, and there's a cash flow issue where your customer is saying, hey, listen, I want to buy this, but I have to wait until the 30th of the month because I'm expecting another $1 million to come in a couple of days before, and I need that to pay for your service or whatever it is. That's a logistical issue. That's not really an issue in terms of somebody objecting to the sale. And I think it's really, really important to understand the three sections here, because sometimes if we think logistics and we treat it like an objection, we just put our foot in our mouth and we actually hurt ourselves and we can end up wrecking a sale. So if somebody's just like, hey, I love this sounds good, I want to do it, but I have to wait until this time, or I have this thing that's logistical, you deal with it. That's not an objection. A stall, hey, I'm too busy right now, call me back later, just email me something. That's not an objection. That's a stall. They're trying to delay the process for whatever, maybe they're not really serious, all of that type of stuff. And that's why we have to do really good discovery to find out, hey, are they a looky-loo? Are they a real buyer? What's going on? But the objection today, this is what we're going to focus on how to deal with objections. Now, the reason why people have objections is because people don't like commitment. That's true. People do not like making commitments, and especially with money, because as soon as they pay you money, they've made they've made a final decision. They can't get out of it because they've already paid you. And people don't like doing that. And this is why a large portion of the population, they don't make decisions easily on their own or commitments on their own. And this is why salespeople are the most highest paid people on the face of the earth, because it takes somebody who has the skill, who can take somebody who has a problem today, they have a solution, they have a goal of where they want to be tomorrow, but a salesperson, a skilled salesperson, has to be able to hold their hand and walk them across. So this is how I draw things out. So on this side of the river, here's the river. On this side, you've got pain. You've got challenges. You've got hurt. So here's our prospect over here. They're sad, right? They're unhappy over here. This is tomorrow. This is their goal. This is where you have unicorns, right? Here's a unicorn, really bad unicorn. Everything's rainbows, lollipops, sugar plums, all that type of stuff. The prospect wants to move from here today, full of pain, over to tomorrow where everything's amazing. There's a bridge. The product is the bridge. Your product, your service, whatever it is, can take the prospect from where they are today across the bridge. Now, the salesperson has to hold their hand and walk them across the bridge. Your salesperson is going to take them from pain today over to goals, the future tomorrow. That's what the salesperson does. But what happens is, you're going to talk to the prospect, ask them a whole bunch of questions, understand what the challenges are, the costs of not solving it, why they want to do what they want to do, get into all the solutions, all of that stuff. Your sales rep's going to do that. But right when it's time for that prospect to take their first step on their bridge, what happens? Ooh, this is scary. Ooh, I'm not so sure. Are you sure you want to do this? Ooh, that's a lot of money. What is that all? Like what's coming from under the surface? It's uncertainty. That's what it is. So Jordan Belfort, we had him on stage at my conference this year. Very, very good salesperson. He says that objections are a smokescreen for uncertainty. And it makes a lot of sense. And here's why. If the prospect was 100% sure that your product or service was the absolute best fit and would solve all of their issues, there would be no objection, because they would be 100% sure. They would have no qualms. They would have no misgivings about it. But what happens is some prospects, they're 70% certain. So there's 30% in the back of their head with all the bad experiences they've had in the past. Oh, we've tried a product like yours. I'm not sure. Oh, this sounds really good, but ooh, what if it doesn't work? Do I really want to give you my money and commit 100%? So what do? They give you an objection. So what generally happens is they say, oh, I want to think about it. Oh, that's a lot of money. I want to think about it. Okay, fair enough. Is that really the real objection? No. It's a smokescreen because they're not certain yet. So you got to deal with it. So this is how we deal with objections. Okay, so you've gone through discovery, and I'm going to assume, I'm making the assumption that you have done a thorough discovery. So you've got everything you need. You've uncovered, you've picked up all the rocks you need to, you've looked under them, you have all the information you need. So you have your pitch. And here's the thing, every time you make a pitch, every time we present our solution, there's always something that, when you think about it, oh, I could have said this better, or oh, I could have done this differently, or oh, I should have said this. Every single time we pitch, there's always something we can improve. So what happens is we ask for the sale and we get an objection. Now, ideally, we front load the objections as much as possible. So what we do now is we ask them, hey, do you really see that? Do you really see that this could be the solution for you? Yeah. Okay, cool. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you place yourself in terms of the process? Oh yeah, I'm a 7 out of 10. Oh, interesting. Okay, well, what's stopping you from being a 9 or a 10? Oh, well, it's this. We do that before we even ask for the sale now, and what that allows us to do is we're able to loop back around and re-pitch again. So we come up here. We ask for them to rate themselves out of 10. Maybe we get a 7. That's not high enough on the certainty level. So what do? We loop back around here. Now we re-pitch and we shore up. And what this does is, number one, it avoids dropping price before we've made sure the prospect is certain, because as soon as you drop price, the prospect's going to stop listening because all they think about is the number. So we've done this. We've preloaded that. We're dealing with the objections up front, but also more importantly, it gives you a second shot. Most of the times, like, you don't get a second chance, but by doing this, you give yourself a second chance to shore up that pitch, say the things that you should have said differently, or maybe, oh, I should have said this. Oh, okay, makes total sense. Let me pitch it this way. You get to re-pitch what you're doing, and now you ask for the sale again. Okay, so that's a loop around. Now, what's going to happen is you're going to ask for the sale now. And the customer, the prospect, is probably going to give you a different objection, right? Before they said, oh, it's a lot of money, I need to think about it, or whatever it is. And now they're probably going to tell you, oh, I need to talk with my partner, or I need to talk with my wife, I need to talk with my director of marketing, whatever it is. They're now throwing something else up. Now, if we dealt with the first objection, oh, like, I really need to think about it, as the objection, we will have wasted a lot of time doing that. But we know most of the time it's a smoke screen, right? They're not certain enough. So we're going to ask, loop back around, and then shore up our pitch and our value proposition. And now we're going to ask again. Now, the second time, we're probably more likely getting the real objection. And depending on what you're selling, you can tackle it a couple different ways. But this is how we really tackle objections. Number one, you want to understand what the objection is and why they're bringing it up. So, for instance, if you're selling a coaching program, right? And somebody's like, oh, well, I don't want to do this because there's group coaching. If you just go out and say blah, 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 and just rhyme off a whole bunch of stuff, maybe you've missed the mark. So what you want to do first is you want to ask, okay, well, just kind of curious, like, is there a specific reason why you're asking about that? Oh, well, maybe they had a really bad experience. Maybe they're currently in a group coaching program and it's not a fit, whatever it is. At least now you have context, right? So we want to clarify first, clarify why they're asking. And maybe we misunderstand, because lots of times a sales rep, and we get this when we do call reviews, a sales rep, they'll hear an objection and go right into problem solving mode, blah, 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 but they didn't really listen to what the prospect was saying. So they start talking about something that's not even relevant to what the prospect really wants to know or what their true concern is. So we want to clarify first. After we clarify, now we can isolate and tie it down, okay? So what we want to do is say, okay, so besides whatever the objection is, maybe it's money. So money aside, besides the cost, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to go ahead today, or any other reason why you wouldn't want to use our service or buy our product, whatever it is? And they're like, oh, no, other than that, like, that's the only thing. Perfect. So what have you done? You've basically eliminated any other potential objection, because they just told you that there's nothing else standing in the way between them and making a decision and going ahead. Perfect. So now all you have to do is knock down that final domino, and then you've got your sale. So we want to isolate and tie down. So we've clarified, we've isolated it and tied them down. Now we want to handle the objection. And this is where good discovery pays dividends, right? Because what happens in discovery? We're finding out, and we've got other videos on this, but what happens in discovery? Well, we find out the pain, like what's going on. What happens if they don't solve that challenge? What they want to do in the future, the goals, what they're looking for, all the things they've tried, why they can't do it on their own, all of those things. Like, we're asking really, really good questions. What happens is, when we get to objection handling, a lot of sales reps, they forget everything we just learned. But that's the best thing we have, because what happens is, well, like, we know, like, most people don't like making commitments. So even though in the back of their mind, they know that is whatever your product or service is, that is the absolute best thing for them, they're still not going to be able to get themselves across the bridge on their own. So we have to remind them of why it's important. And the best way to do that is to say exactly what they told you. So here's what happens. I get an objection. Maybe it's price, whatever it is. Okay, hey, like, we want to clarify what that is. Then I tie down. So besides price, besides price, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to move ahead today? No, just price. Okay, great. Now I want to like start moving them across the bridge and reminding them why. So it's like, okay, so John, remember how you told me that, you've got this whatever problem this is, and you really have $3 million on the line if you can't solve this, and if we don't get this figured out in the next 20 days, you're going to lose that $3 million. Like, remember how you said that? Yeah. So what am I doing? I'm injecting that pain that I learned back in discovery, but I'm also reminding the prospect, hey, like this is really what we're talking about here. So then I can say, okay, so help me understand, as you told me that you've got $3 million on the line, and this is a serious issue for you, but now you're telling me that for $997, you're like, it's too much money. Like, help me understand here. It's not making sense. Because what you're doing there is you're saying, hey, listen, like you've got all this pain. You told me these words, and we've got the solution here, and everything else is a good fit. But help me understand that, like, what's going on. And most of the time, it doesn't make sense, right? Because it's not logical. People are acting this way because of emotion, because they're not quite sure. They go into that fight or flight mode, and they want to run away from the commitment. So what you want to do is you're not holding the person's foot to the fire, but you're reminding them, hey, listen, like you've got this big problem. You told me you're looking for the solution, but now that it's come time to actually commit to it, it's not making sense for me. Help me understand. And so the prospect's you're now throwing the ball back in their court, and now they're going to try and explain it. And what's going to happen? Well, they won't be able to explain it. So now you can help them uncover the real reason why they don't move ahead and reframe it. So most of the time, it's they're scared about maybe they had a past experience. They're not 100% sure it's going to work. Maybe it's not for them. Whatever it is, you want to make them feel more certain. And so maybe they're not certain about you as the salesperson. Maybe they're not certain about the company. Maybe they're not certain about the actual product. There's something in there that they're not certain about. So now we can uncover and start peeling off those layers like an onion to uncover really what it is. And most of the time, the person just wants to feel like they want to feel good about it. And that's how we deal with objections. So a different way. So that's one way. We just lay it out. Hey, remember how you told me that? It's not making sense. Help me understand. With spouses and business partners, we want to bring them on the call. So ideally in discovery, you find out that there's a partner or a spouse, and you bring them on the call, or you reschedule to get both people on a call. But let's say you missed that, something happened, and now you've pitched price, and now they're like, oh well, I've got this magical business partner that you didn't know about, and they're 50% owner. I have to talk with them. And fair enough. Like if there are 50-50 and they're spending a decent chunk of money with you, both business partners should be on the same page with that. So what do we want to do? We actually want to bring them on the call without actually being on the call. So what do I mean? We want to start asking questions about what the other person would think. It's like, okay, for sure. Now, if John were on the call right now and he just heard everything we've been talking about, what do you think he would say? Oh, well, John would say this and this and this. Oh, gotcha. And why do you think he would say that? Well, this and this and this and this. Okay. So I want to start bringing John, because the prospects want to know their partner. I want the prospect to start voicing the possible objections that the partner will have. Why? Because I want to start giving that prospect the ammunition they need to deal with it when they go talk with the business partner. And then also I want to start getting into, like, are they on the same page? So, okay. So, just John, are you guys in agreement that you've got this major issue right now? Yeah. Okay. Well, just John know that you're looking for solutions? Yeah, he does. Okay. Gotcha. Does he know we're on the call right now? Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. So you want to start making sure that everybody's on the same page, because what happens sometimes is, especially with like B2C type of stuff, maybe the husband is on a call, but the wife doesn't even know. So like at that point, you have to know what you're working with, and you have to get both people on that call, because if the husband goes and says, hey, listen, and he starts trying to pitch whatever your product is to the wife, it's not going to work. And she's just going to be like, what? You did this, blah, 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 blah. You want to make sure everybody's on the same page. Okay, so with spouses, with business partners, you want to make sure you're asking on the right questions. So number one, with a spouse and a business partner, what do they think on the call? Like, what would they say right now? All this type of stuff. And then, are they on the same page? Right, that's number two. Are they on the same page? Do they know that you're talking? Blah 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 blah. And then number three is you want to find out what they're going to say. So a great way to do this is say, hey, listen, there's a couple of ways that this can go. Number one, you can go talk with your business partner and say, hey, listen, I just had a call with the guy. He wants to charge us $20,000, and I think we should do it. Or, hey, listen, I just did a whole bunch of research. I've spoken with a whole bunch of different companies because we have this problem. And honestly, these guys are the best fit for exactly what we need. And they're actually going to help us walk us through this step by step. And the investment, is $20,000, but this can really get us to the $300K that we really need to hit, whatever it is. Those are two different conversations that prospect can have. So you want to actually walk them through and coach them on how they can fuel up that prospect to have the second conversation, not the first conversation. The first one, hey, 20. It happens all the time, especially with spouses, right? Oh yeah, I talked with so-and-so. How much is it? Oh, it's $30,000. Oh, no way. Whereas, hey, listen, we've got this problem. I've researched it. This is why we should do it. This is why it's a great fit. And you know what? It's $30,000, but blah, 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 blah. That's a much better pitch. So what you really want to do with the partners and the spouses is ideally, number one, in discovery, you find out there's a partner, you reschedule, and you get both on the call. But at this point, you're already committed. You're in. It comes out of left field. Whatever. You want to, number one, find out what they're going to say. You want to find out what you're dealing with, and then you can help the prospect with some ammunition there. Number two, you want to make sure they're all on the same page. And number three, you want to prepare them to go have that conversation. But more importantly, you want to pre-schedule a call where that person knows everybody's free, so you can actually get on and have the conversation. Because this is how you want to frame it. It's hey, listen, John, obviously both of you guys are going to come at this from different perspectives because you guys have different functions in your business. And I really want to help you guys out and make sure all of your questions are answered. So why don't we do this? Let's set up a call for tomorrow. And that way, both yourself and John can come on that, or whatever the name is, Kevin can come on the call. I want you to prepare a list of all the questions you have. And that way I can actually walk you guys both through and make sure everything's answered so you have clarity on exactly what the solution can provide so you can make the most educated decision. Does that sound fair enough? Perfect. Right? Okay, so what time works better? Blah, 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 this time 4. Okay, John, do you have access to Kevin's schedule? Can you just make sure he's available at the time? Oh yeah, he looks good. Okay, perfect. I'm going to pencil this in. All I ask of you is you have that conversation in 3 hours whenever he's able to with Kevin, and you send me a text message back and confirm that both of you can make the call tomorrow. And like I said, I'm happy to give you all the time and make sure everything's answered for you. Perfect. Rather than just trying to convince the guy on the phone, oh, you got to do this, high pressure sales tactics. That's not the right way to do it. You relieve some sales pressure. You make it customer centric, prospect centric. They say, hey, listen, I'm going to answer all your questions. This is what I want you to do. You're going to get much better buy-in there. Okay. So with objections, at the end of the day, it's all problem solving. Somebody's got, you present, so somebody has a problem, you present a solution, and they just can't make a commitment because people don't like doing it. So you got to peel back all the layers and then walk them through. And a great way to do that, you loop back around the first time, you come at it, you're probably going to get the real objection the second time. You isolate. Well, first you clarify, then you isolate, you tie down. That's the only thing keeping them from making a decision, and then away you go. Right? So there's actually a great story. This is classic Tony Robbins. Back when he was selling these cassette tapes and all that type of stuff. And so you can probably find this on YouTube, very vintage Tony Robbins. So he would sit down at the table and he was selling these cassettes. And he would at the end, he would make a pitch for selling these cassette tapes, and the people would be like, oh well, not really for us, or oh no, this sounds really interesting, but I don't have a cassette player. So what Tony would say is, okay, so what you're saying is you love everything. This is a great deal, but the only thing that's missing, the only thing stopping you from making a decision right now is a cassette tape player to play all these tapes for you. And they're like, oh yeah, that's the only thing. And then he would reach in and pull out his cassette tape player. And then he had this like line about, hey, like blah, blah, blah. He throws it in, all that stuff. And now they're tied in because they've committed. Right. I think pull up that clip because I'm paraphrasing, but it's a classic tie down. Hey, like, is this the only thing stopping you from moving ahead? Is this the only objection? And sometimes they've got 2 or 3. Great. Well, you isolate, tie down, and then you keep moving on. But you have to have that clarity, and then you just knock it out of the park. All right. So that's how we deal with objections. It's not scary, and the best thing you can do as you're doing your calls that day, you write down on the bottom of your page, because everybody should have a tracking page. You write down all the objections you get during the day, every single one. Like, why didn't somebody buy? All these reasons. And chances are you're probably going to have the same 5 or 6 every single day. And what does that mean? Well, you just get really good at handling those specific ones. Every industry is going to be a little bit different, but it's generally, hey, business partner, price, need to think about it, that type of stuff. But you just get really, really good at handling those specific ones, because if you can handle the most common objections, that's 95% of all the objections you will ever see. And that's when it becomes a game, because you know exactly what's coming up, you know exactly what to say, exactly how to deal with it, and then away you go. All right. So that is objection handling, a little bit into some insight in terms of how we handle that. So if you are a sales rep, Robbie, do we have the thing to put up? If you're a sales rep and you are looking for a place to land, we are hiring. We're building our sales team. We actually just did Tough Mudder on the weekend, and we are also looking to put together a championship Tough Mudder team next year. So if you're number one, a great salesperson, but number two, you enjoy physical activity, we are definitely hiring because we want to win. So to go to careers.sethferguson.org, let us know what you're all about. Submit a quick video, send us a resume. We'll have a conversation, because I'm looking for quality people to build out our team and really take this thing to the next level. All right. So hopefully this was helpful to handle the objections, track everything. And yeah, like objections, once you know how to deal with them, it makes sales a whole lot of fun. All right. I'll see you guys next week.